What is up, guys? We're back in another video, and today, guys, we're just going to be talking about basically a buyer's guide for a beginner for RCing and starting your RCing adventure. Today, we're going to explain the different RCs, price points, nitro or electric or gas, and other things like that. So let's get right into the video, guys. Alright, guys, our first topic is going to be what type of power source do you want to go with, electric, nitro, or gas? Electric's gonna be the easiest to maintain. All you gotta do is just charge up a battery and go bash with your buddies. And typically that's a fun time, but Nitro, on the other hand, I personally like Nitro the most because you got the sound and the noise and it works like a real car. You're revving high and everything like that. But Nitro is the most maintenance. When you're done, if you're out there bashing for a day for an hour, you're gonna be looking at 2 hours of maintenance to do. You gotta it's always something with nitros, but that doesn't mean that they're not reliable. If you do it right and you're always on top of it, my LST starts up almost every time. My HPRS4 starts up every time, never gives me an issue. Every once in a while in a blue moon, it will give me an issue, but that's nothing more than either swapping the glow plug or tuning it a different way, or messing with something like that. Maybe there's a fuel leak, but it's just a lot less to go on electric. Gas I haven't had much experience with, but as far as I know, they're like right in the middle. You still get the noise and everything as a nitro, and you still get the tunability and stuff like that, but they start up almost every time. And also, gas is a lot cheaper. Two-stroke oil and a gasoline, it's a lot cheaper to make a gallon of that than to buy a gallon of nitro. And also nitros, when you're done using them after one tank, you gotta let it cool down to restart back up. Where I think gas you can just add fuel and go, and the same thing with electric, you swap another battery. But yeah, so it's really what you want to do. If you're into working on your RC car and always making sure it's tip-top shape, and also maintenance-wise, nitros are gonna be they're gonna put a lot less stress on the drivetrain, but you always have to inspect the clutch and everything like that. You're gonna have to make sure that there's no fuel leaks, you gotta check the fuel filter if you're gonna run one. If you're not, you're gonna make sure that your tank is clean. You gotta make sure that the motor's sealing. You gotta clean the nitro oil off the car, where electric doesn't have. That's a lot of oil, but electric you still gotta. If you're going with a high voltage electric, you better make sure that you're checking those diffs and everything shimmed up, your pinion gear, because that can destroy them. Nitro's a lot less strain on the drivetrain. I think gas is like right in the middle as well, because gas has a lot more torque because it's a bigger motor. But nitro, gasoline motors or combustion engines in general make their peak power at peak RPM most of the time. So where electric is instant power, instant all the way. So you're spinning off the line, and that could put a lot of strain on your drivetrain. Or nitro, it kind of ramps up the power. Now with electric, if you're running a high voltage setup, high kV motor or whatever, or just 6S, 8S, typically a lot of speed controllers or controllers have like radios and stuff like that have presets where you can like put the punch rating lower or something like that. So you're not like killing everything, like it will leave off the line a little slower. But that's just all for your taste. So typically, if you're one of those people who put your RC away for a month or two, and once on a blue moon want to go drive it, or you just don't want the hassle of a nitro, then go electric. It's a lot more fun. You'll have a better time. Just like if you're just one of those people. Gas is if you want a big RC 1/5 scale, and you're gonna run it every once in a while, and you want the noise and everything of a nitro, but you don't want the maintenance. I think you should go that route. It's a little more expensive that way. Where nitro, it's gonna be a lot of maintenance, but as long as you do all the maintenance right and you tune it right and everything, nitro is just as it starts up every time. You're only fiddling with it to get it started for the longest I've ever spent was like 5 minutes once I get everything dialed. But as long as you run it at least once a month, you're gonna be fine. I recommend that with nitros, especially if you're going to go on a big bass session with your buddies, for example, Thanksgiving for me, we're all going with our nitros. I would typically, a couple days before, start up your car, make sure that it runs, tune it all up so that you're ready for the day. That's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I might actually put up a video testing the 2-speed on the AFNA and getting my LST tuned. That I might do that. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but you know, that's what you want to do. If you're gonna, and if you have a higher mechanical ability like me, I'm really into cars and stuff like that, then that's why Nitro is for me. But if you're just one of those people, everyday people, just hey, let's go. Maybe like a Traxxas slash something's for you. But yeah, guys. So yeah, just take this precaution. Even though Nitro has a lot of maintenance, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get one. Nitros are a lot of fun, and if you get them right, they're really fun. And for beginners, yes, you can get a Nitro RC as a beginner. Just keep in mind that you need to follow a lot of specific rules for Nitro, and you should look online on beginner videos of Nitro, how to tune your motor. There's a million videos out there. I'm not gonna make one because I'm just not gonna. There's so many out there, but typically, let's just tune it when you're. I'm just gonna say this really quick. When you're tuning a Nitro, make sure that there's a decent amount of smoke coming out of the pipe so that you get proper lubrication. If you're running lean, that could really harm your motor. But you need to watch out for that. Glow plugs. Make sure that you got the right glow plug for your motor. Right. Make sure that you got fuel. You gotta make sure always if you're getting a Nitro, make sure you break it in. Same thing with the gas. Break it in. You gotta break it in right. There's a million videos on that. There's a lot of support online. You ask the right people. I've helped people before in my comments on my videos. There's a lot of helpful people, and like for example, the RC Biker. There's a lot of beginner videos on there with lower end Nitros. Nitros are still pretty cheap too. You can get a nice Nitro for about $300, so it's not like it's more expensive. So, don't be afraid of Nitro. Nitro's a lot of fun as long as you get it right. You just gotta keep in mind, be patient, and stay on top of things. And so, yeah. So, yeah, what else are we gonna do? Now, we are gonna talk about whether if you're gonna go for electric, to choose brushless or brushed, and LiPo or nickel metal, for batteries. So, brushless and brushed motors. I have a brushed motor right here. I do not have a brushless motor. I used to have one, but I gave it to my buddy. Here's a brushed motor. Now, key features of a brushed motor is there's only going to be 2 wires coming out of the motor. And also, the way how a brushed motor would work is you have what is it? You have the brushes are in contact. Now, so this is like an older style design. Brushless is relatively new, but brushed, it's not gonna be as powerful as a brushless motor, and it's not as efficient. But there's still some pretty nice brushed motors out there. This is a pretty nice one, but I got cooked a long time ago. But this is like a fully adjustable one, I think. So yeah, so brush isn't gonna have as much power, but it's a lot cheaper. A brushed motor and a nice one, like a Traxxas 550 size motors are really nice brushed motors. They have plenty of power. And for a 2-wheel drive Stampede, for a beginner, if you're just gonna get a brush version, it's a lot cheaper. It's only about $200 with a battery and a charger, and you still be pulling wheelies. It's perfect. You're still doing donuts and everything. It's not as much power. But sometimes too much power in an RC car cannot be as fun because you're always constantly battling with spinning out and stuff like that. So if you're gonna be a beginner, brush is not a bad option. You can always upgrade the brushes. I've been looking online, Ghoul RC, like Amazon, is like an eBay brand or whatever. $50 and you get a ESC and a brushless motor, and it's a lot faster. And you can get that. So you can always upgrade in the future, but brush is not a bad option. If you want to go brushless, if you're going for a bigger car like an X-Max or something, or an A-scale buggy, you might want to go brushless. And I think most cars are brushless nowadays because they're heavier cars. You just want to go faster. And if your car can handle the power, then go brushless. And if you have enough money to go brushless, then do it because it's a lot faster. Now, nickel metal, the nickel metal and LiPo batteries. Nickel metal is an older design of batteries. They're not as efficient as LiPos, and they're not as powerful. Where with a nickel metal, let's say if you're at 25% battery life on a nickel metal, the voltage will get lower and lower as you drain out the battery, where LiPo will stay always at peak voltage until you get to 0%. But the only thing is, if you're a beginner, I recommend that you go with nickel metal hydride, because LiPos are very, very dangerous. If you're gonna get a LiPo, make sure you get the right charger. Make sure that you follow all the instructions and the rules with LiPos, and make sure that you get a fire bag and do not store them in your house. Maybe you want to store them in a shed or in your garage, because they can go on fire very easily. They're a lot more unstable than a nickel metal battery. If you discharge a LiPo battery too much, they can go on fire and stuff like that, and it's very dangerous. Now, if you're an experienced hobbyist and you want the extra power, then go LiPo. Traxxas LiPos are the most safest, I feel, because the way that they work, also the Spectrum ID stuff or whatever it is, that works too. But LiPos, you gotta make sure that your voltages are balanced. Or nickel metal, you don't have to worry about that. It's not as efficient, but if you're getting a car for a little kid, or if you're a beginner and you don't know much about the hobby, then I recommend that you go nickel metal, because it's a lot safer, and still get decent power too. It's a 7-cell nickel metal hydride. It's almost just as good as a 2S, I feel, in the beginning of a battery's life. If you're getting a crawler, then don't worry about getting LiPo. Personally, I have had crawlers, and you don't need much more than a 6-cell nickel metal hydride. Nitros, if you're going to get a receiver pack, I recommend that you do that, because you're going to be going through double A's like you wouldn't believe. Yes, nitros still do run on batteries, but that's just for the servos and the electronics. The motor is the one that actually powers the car. I recommend just get a 5-cell nickel metal battery, 6-volt. There you go. You don't need nothing more than that. You don't need a LiPo, unless you're going to go racing, and you don't even need that at that point. But, my LSE is a huge car, dual servo steering, and it runs off a 6-volt, no problem. But, yeah, so if you're like older and you know that you're gonna be careful with LiPos, then go ahead and get a LiPo. It's a lot more better. It's a lot faster. I've had experience with LiPos and nickel metal, and there's a huge difference. But if you're gonna go with nickel metal and you want to get a Traxxas, they come with 7-cell batteries, and those are fine. They have plenty of power for if you're just getting started. So nickel metal is a lot more safer. LiPo is a lot more powerful. That's basically the two that you got to balance with. And if you're getting it for a little kid, get a nickel metal. It's a lot less strain on your drivetrain because it's a lot less power. So yeah. Now we're gonna go with what type of RC do you want to get, and also how your location is gonna affect the RC that you get. Now, so there's different types of RC cars. You got on-road, you got monster trucks, you got buggies, you got truggies, you got crawlers, which is a big segment as of right now, and everything in between, drift cars, So this is basically what you want to do. If whatever your hobby, first of all, get any RC car that your hobby local hobby store provides, because it'll just be easier to get parts. That'll be my next segment, though. Like what type of brand? But basically, if you're living in a city and you don't have much fields by you, you might want to look into getting like an on-road car or a drift car. Right here, drift wheels. I recommend, if you want to, what I did is I got an on-road car, Nitro RS4 for free, and I just picked up some drift wheels for $10, and there you go, get a drift car. Not as good as a drift car that that you get pre-made for a drift. It's a lot more better than that, but you can get yourself going with this. But aside the fact, if you're living in a city and you don't have like a park to ride your stuff, you might want to look into getting like an on-road car or something like that, because that's what it's built for. You want to be, if you're gonna be jumping and you want to go jumping and just bashing, you might want to look into a monster truck or like a buggy. If you want to go more like a sportier feel, like a track or something with a smoother-ish surface, you might want to go for a buggy. It all depends on where you live, because where you live, you're gonna have the most fun with a certain type of RC car and what you like. Personally, I like off-road a lot more than on-road. On-road is still a lot of fun, but for me, off-road's more fun because just you can still go on road with an off-road car, and I like jumping stuff and going fast on the grass and stuff like that. But some people just like to go stay on road, you know. And on-road cars, I've got into them, and it's a lot of fun too. Typically, on-road cars aren't going to break as much as off-road cars because you're staying on road. But also, people don't mention it as much, but crawlers are also a lot of fun too. If you want to go for that scale look and you want to be going over rocks and stuff and through the woods, if you live by a lot of trails, like for example, I live by Indian Island, that's a lot of fun too. Going on the beach and stuff like that, crawlers are amazing. And they're just also same thing. They don't break as much because you're not going fast. And there's a lot of aftermarket support, and you can build it any way you want. You can build any body, any type of tires, whatever you want. Lights. I've gotten into crawlers. I have a 14 scale WPL C24, and they're a lot of fun. You can just experiment with them and change things. So that's also another route that you want to go. It all depends on where you live and what you want to do. If you want to go fast, you might want to get an off-road. If you want to stay on a street, get an on-road. If you want to go drifting, get a drift car. Rally cars are also fun too. If you want to go for more like a racing type setup, then go for buggies. Those are a lot of fun too. They're fast, they're nimble, besides a monster truck. But yeah, so it all depends on where you live and what you want to do with your RC. But yeah, so now we're going to talk about what brand you should get. And this is I'm not saying get Traxxas or Losi. This is all depends on what your what your hobby shop provides. Now, where I live in Long Island. We don't have any hobby shops by us anymore. Unfortunately, all of them have closed years ago because of everything going online. So if you have a hobby shop, maybe pick something up that from your hobby shop. Support your local hobby shop, but also this is great because now you can get parts whenever you want. You don't have to worry about, waiting for the I'm sorry. You don't have to worry about waiting for parts online and stuff like that. You got everything right there and you can ask them questions and look at the parts before you buy and make sure you got the right part. I've had issues before where I thought I had the right part and I didn't, and then I was screwed, what happens if you break something and you're about to go on a bashing, and you need the part next day? You can go to your hobby shop. We have a Speed World FX, which is a speed shop for cars and stuff like that, but they sell Traxxas stuff. So that's why my buddy I told my friends whenever they want to get an RC car, go for Traxxas unless if you want to go online and buy stuff online, because you could just get parts there. Traxxas is also really, really big. You can very easily get parts for those cars, but yeah, they're not the most cheapest things in the world, but you can still get what you're paying for, support, aftermarket support, and I don't know, service. I don't know, but just it all depends. And if you like a certain brand, then get a certain brand. Just make sure that you can get spare parts for the car. That's the only thing I have to say. You can get any RC you want. And it could be great no matter what, but you know that eventually one day that RC is going to break, and then you're screwed if you can't find any parts. So make sure that you get a brand where you can find parts of the RC cars. Not some of these Chinese brands are nice, but you can't get spare parts. My WPL is cool and everything, but when something breaks on it, its parts are really cheap, but I have to wait upwards of 20 days, to get a part for it. So that's one negative about them. But typically when you buy parts, you buy them in stock. For example, look at my hobby shop. We have parts for all of our cars. My dad's Offna Ultra LX has went out of Offna has went out of business a long time ago. But we have all the spare parts for the car, so we can still run it. So you need to make sure that if you're gonna be doing a lot of RCing and you have always buy extra spare parts. If you're going to be buying parts, this is the best way to go. Also, another way to go is when you buy your car, buy a used rolling chassis of your car that's a little bit beat up for spare parts. I feel like that's the best way to go, is to get a rolling chassis, because whenever you break something, you just take something off that other car, So, yeah, just make sure you got spare parts for your car and get whatever car you want as long as you got spare parts for it. Now we're going to talk about price range. Now, some certain RC cars can be upwards of $700 to almost $3,000 with the Primal Raminator, and some people get discouraged by the hobby when they look at these RC cars like, wow, they're so cool, and then they realize there's so much money. You can have a lot of fun with RCs for just $100. For example, my WPLC 24, I have that thing almost fully modded out, and I think I spent like $90. And I have a full-fledged 14 scale crawler with all metal axles, metal gears, bearings, and everything like that. For example, if you want Red Cat is a good brand. The Red Cat Blackout or something like that, XTE or something. It's a monster truck that my buddy has, and it's 2S. It comes with a 2S battery, a charger, a controller, like I think a Fly Sky type controller, 4-wheel drive, brushless RC with fully adjustable links and camber and all that. And he only paid $200. You can get some nice RC cars for under $200. If you want to go the Horizon Hobby, I think ECX makes some like buggies that you can get. What else? There's a lot of other RC cars. You just gotta look around. Exceed RC is a good brand. I have a 1/10 scale crawler from them, and I only paid. Well, I didn't pay, but we paid. My dad paid probably about $130 for it. You can get, if you want to go the WL Toys route, you have to buy the parts online automatically, but there's some WL toys that are like $80 a buggy, and it's like full metal and everything like that, and it's really cool, honestly. 2S lipo brushed electronics, but it still goes very fast. But yeah, you don't be discouraged by the high prices. When you're paying for an RC car that's $200, it might be a little more expensive, but you can get spare parts, which is hobby grade, and you're paying for going 30 miles an hour out of the box, almost 40 miles an hour on grass, dirt, if you're jumping or whatever, where some people fail to realize that hobby grade RCs aren't just like, well, the RCs that I like aren't just like your Toys R Us RC that only goes like 5 miles an hour on, it runs off double A's and stuff like that. These cars go really fast, and it's a lot more fun this way. And if you're going to pay for a brand like that, then you're paying for quality, and you're paying for a fun time with your buddies. Yeah, it all depends basically on how you're going to get your spare parts, and, what your price point, and what do you want. On-road cars are very cheap. I think the HSP Nitro brand is like very cheap. My RS4, which is a HPI has is very cheap. It's only like $200 used with everything you need. Sorry guys, that was my dad. But basically, I think like Roven Baja, if you want to go for a cheaper 5th scale, they're still kind of expensive, but they're cheap for 5th scale. Roven makes some pretty cool stuff I've seen. The Baja is their HPI clone. You got the Roven makes like a Losi 5C clone, and it's the same exact thing, but some cases even better. But you can go for a cheaper route. You don't have to pay $600 for an RC car. You can pay like $150 and get a decent one. So yeah, guys, don't be discouraged by prices. It's worth it in the end if you're gonna drive them. Alright guys, now we're just going to talk about 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, and which one should you get. There's benefits and doubts for both platforms. 2-wheel drive, it's going to be a lot cheaper to buy a 2-wheel drive RC than a 4-wheel drive RC. It might go a little faster if you're running brushed electronics. A 2-wheel drive might go a little faster than a 4-wheel drive. And the simplicity is a lot... It's a lot easier to work on a 2-wheel drive platform. You don't have as much drivetrain parts. So if you're going for cheap and easy to work on, and and if you're getting brushed electronics, then go for a 2-wheel drive. But the doubt is that it's a lot harder to drive a 2-wheel drive. It's a different beast. You're always constantly worrying about spinning out. If you want to drive on dirt and snow and sand, 2-wheel drive might not cut it if you're not going to run like paddle tires or something like that. But that's just one of the caveats about two-wheel drive is it's a little harder to drive, but if you want that, if you want that, what is it? If you want the challenge of the two-wheel driving it, then go ahead. It's a lot of fun. I'm not gonna say that two-wheel drive is bad. I personally drove two-wheel drive electric, and I like the way they handle. If I was gonna get an electric RC, I would get a two-wheel drive, like another electric. And so. But the only thing is, with four-wheel drive, it's a lot easier to drive. If you're running brushed electronics, it still goes the same speed, and in fact, faster than a two-wheel drive brushed. If you're going to be going on dirt and stuff like that, because you have a lot more traction, and it's not going to spin out as much because you're not doing donuts all the time. And it's just brush is going to be easier to drive, but it's going to be a little more expensive. Not brushed. Four-wheel drive is going to be a little easier to drive. It's a little more expensive, a little bit more complicated, but if you're going for high power situations, I recommend you just go four-wheel drive because, and some cases they could be even a little more durable. But four-wheel drive is just a better time if you just want to go full throttle all the time. I do not own any two-wheel drive cars as of now, but I used to own a Slash, but I gave it to my friend because it was pretty beat up, and it was like half in pieces because he had a Slash dual drive, so I figured I'd give it to him for a parts car. But yeah, it's just up to you and what your taste is. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully this video will help you guys purchase your RC car. I know that Christmas is coming up, so yeah, guys, be on the lookout for deals and stuff like that on Horizon Hobby. I don't know if there might do any, but just keep in mind what I said when you go purchase your RC car, or if you're looking for RC cars. Yeah. So yeah, guys, see you guys in the next video. Peace.